I'm Lisa Snyderman, and this is Conversations on Creating to Heal. And today I'm really delighted to be speaking with Heal-Irma Velasquez in San Mateo, California. And Heal-Irma is a mother of an adult with autism, an artist educator, a social entrepreneur, as well as a life coach. And her story is being inspired and transformed by the power of the human spirit. So welcome, Heal-Irma.
Hi, Lise.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I just described you as wearing a lot of hats. Do you perhaps want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and if you have a brief mission for some of these that you wear?
The most important hat that I wear is a mother, and an educator would be the second. And they all come at, they're all there. It's not one priority over another.
Mm-hmm.
But what I try to incorporate in my life is art in every, as much, excuse me, as much as I can. And it's so natural to me because the creative process can be implemented and it can be infused into everything that we do. So for me, being an artist has allowed me to really think out of the box with a lot of the issues that we were faced, especially with my son when he was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. And I think that the theme or the thread that I carry for is really about, we're all artists, we're all creating every minute of our life. We are creation. So there is nothing that is not being created. We just have to grab it. We just have to own it. And I think I've been giving a great opportunity to not only express my art with the visual way with paints and different mediums, but also through my life.
I love that mission. I resonate a lot with that too. The way I look at my own life is as I'm an artist and everything I do is art. It just takes different forms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely resonate. Well, let's talk about your story. Everybody goes through different events in their lives and they're obviously, transformed by them. But what do you think for you have been some of the key events that have helped shape you?
Well, the first key event was when my parents decided to move to the United States. Back in 1963, my father made a very abrupt, spontaneous decision to leave El Salvador, where I was born, and move to California, to San Mateo, actually. And within less than a year, he had made a decision, and we were in a new home here in a new country, without language, a lot of family, but in a very new culture. That was the first big shock. It was wonderful, it was wonderful because we were able to make a different life for ourselves that we would in that country. But that was the first shock point, I would say. The second shock point was when I met my husband, and I was planning on, I had left a corporate job and that was not for me. And I had already planned to move to Europe at Florence to become an artist. And then I meet him and everything changed. So that was my second shock point. Mm-hmm. Next month we'll be married 28 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. And the third shock point, the most impactful and important one, has been the birth of my son. And he was born with autism, and that has led me into an incredible journey, meeting people like you and many others who have given me a different outlook on the human spirit. Not only with looking at my son every day and seeing how he manages to live in a world that is very different than he is, but also how people respond and live with him.
So for you, these are some different events, obviously, some of them in different times in your life. were
Mm-hmm.
there certain types of creative outlets that you turned to during these events, and how did that help you? You know, was it something, for example, did you start writing, or did you paint, or you know, what were some of the things you turned to process?
Well, the first one was when I came to this country, I was very lonely. You know, I felt like a fish out of water. And I was 10, so puberty was starting and my body was changing and there was a lot of change around me. And I remember feeling really lonely. And one day I went into a five and dime store with a few, what I had from, some chores that I was getting paid for. And I found this paint by numbers box. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting. It said, you too can be an artist. And I picked it up. I went home and I did this it was a landscape. And I thought, wow, that wasn't too bad. And then I thought, but I don't need those numbers. I don't like to be told what numbers to use. So that began my career in love in painting and drawing, because I couldn't afford the paint. So I just sketched and drew with colored pencil. So I was about 13 and I was pretty much self-taught. Because when I was getting ready to go to college, I looked into art schools, but my parents and I couldn't afford to go to an art school. So I went more into a classical business school.
Yeah, and so how about for when your son was born, and what was it like for you? Was there community around? What kind of environment was there, and what did you do to help, you know, create an environment that he could grow up in?
Well, when he was 3, I decided that I wanted to continue the arts, and I started an art school for children in San Mateo, thinking that he was going to be part of it. And he did not want anything to do with paints or art or pencils or anything. But the community did get involved, and we had a number of children from the community go to the art school. And Aaron was not one of them. But that began a connection with people through the arts. So from that, I met a number of artists, and which are still friends of mine. I got more involved in the art community. And that created a life for me that gave me respite from the intensity of what I was going through when Aaron was diagnosed with autism. It allowed me to fall back, and it's almost like it was shaping my way of thinking in a very different way. I was being told that my son was going to be, totally, he had to be institutionalized. He was not going to be able to do anything. I mean, the worst of the worst. And in those days, back in the 1990s, there weren't as many resources for individuals with autism. So I think by being involved in arts, I know that we can create whatever we decide to create. We're not given something, but we create it as we go. So that really drove the way that I approached working with Aaron and helping him become educated and acquiring skills, because I knew that he has that creative power as well. He's a creator, he's an artist. And he's an amazing young man, 25 years old. He's challenged by autism still, but he's living in the world, and it's a happy young man. And, it's been because of that belief that we all have that creative power within us to be who we truly want to be.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what the healing has been like for you. So how has creating your art, or sharing, if you share it, how has that helped you in your journey?
Well, when I find myself sort of stuck, I would say, I come to my studio and I get a piece of paper or pick up a pen or start doing something with it. And as I start to create, I don't have I try not to have something in mind, but I just see what shows up for me.
Yeah.
It allows me to open up the channels for things to come to me. And many times, who knows what I can show you something here. This could be something that I had a thought, or I was working through a problem, and then when I look at it, an idea comes and I say, oh, yes, of course, that's the way to do it. And it just allows me to explore some different way of approaching a problem. It sort of unhinges my stuckness.
Yes, I understand. Well, you're already sharing a little piece. I wanted to invite you to share something that's meaningful to you and then talk about why that is that you're sharing it.
So the piece that I have behind me is a piece that I started about 6 months ago with it started as a pelvic bone. And what I was working through the idea of being held, that sometimes we don't even think, very seldom do we think of how many different ways we are being held. One of them is by our own pelvic bone. If you really think about it, the pelvic bone holds us in a way so that we can walk and we can stand and we can sit. And we take it for granted. It's always there. It's always there. The ground holds us. We're standing. We don't have to do anything. The earth is turning as we speak, and we're being held. And that's what started this painting. It started from a picture of a pelvic bone, and that's a reminder that I like to give myself, that no matter what's going on, I'm being held by something bigger than myself. It's not all up to me. It's not all up to me.
Yeah, what a lovely way to describe visually the feelings that you're having. I love that. Yeah.
And I like to remind myself of that, because so often I find myself thinking that I have to do it all. And that's it. I don't. I have the support of family, of friends, of the ground, of the earth, of my body, of myself, or my qualities, my skills. I have a history. I have knowledge. There's so much that if I remember that I'm being held, it takes me to a place of trust. Yeah. And when I trust, then things become a little bit easier. I can move and make decisions with more confidence. And as I do that, then I find that I connect with people better, that I am more able to create really meaningful and deep connections, not just superficial, hello, goodbye. So those connections create even more of the support, more of the holding, and that what releases creativity really is when all of those aspects of ourselves are in unison. Then we can truly create things that have never been seen by others, right? And that's what an artist is.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that piece. That has so much complexity and so much depth. I appreciate it. So before we go, I just wanted to find out if you might have some life lessons, some either things that you tell yourself or things that have worked for you along your journey that somebody going through something similar might benefit from.
I would just what I said about it's not all up to us. I have learned that when I feel either trapped or confused or alone or frustrated or overwhelmed, I just take a deep breath and I remember and I tell myself that it's not all up to you. Ask the universe and you'll be given. And it's so simple, it's so easy that that sometimes I feel, no, I have to really work at it. I need to exert myself. But really that's a life lesson that I've had, that it's not that hard. If we allow it,
Yeah.
it's not that hard.
Oh, I love it. Trust the universe, ask and trust the universe. Well, thank you,
Right.
Irma, for coming on to Conversations on Creating to Heal.
Thank you, Lise. It was a pleasure being with you.